Hello there and welcome back to Sound Alchemy Podcast, the place where we talk about the grim darkness of the current era when it comes to the music world. And today we're going to be having a kind of rough discussion. I should be bringing this bad boy closer because it's kind of far away. Now I don't have to shout, but I would, because that's who I am.
And you will.
And I will. So, we're going to be talking about what in this very day and age?
First and foremost, hello girls and boys, how's it going? Very glad to be back and great to have you here as well. Today we're going to be talking about a very touchy topic when it comes to artistry and music making, which is money.
Yeah. Can you make money doing what you love?
Well, that's what we're supposed to answer in the course of the next hour.
Or, if I put it in a different way, is doing what you love capable of making money?
I think they're starting to branch out into a different territory that we're supposed to tackle today.
Okay, first and foremost, why did we put 2025 in the title? Because we actually had a kind of a discussion regarding that particular point.
Yeah.
The 2025 comes in, why?
2025 comes in first because 2025 is very different from the past.
Yes.
And at the same time, it might be very different from the next few years ahead.
Yes.
Because we are now in a transitioning point in many regards.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of what we need to kind of approach here is a little bit of comparison to what happened and what to come.
Yes.
To see not only if it's viable to do it today, but if it's still gonna be viable, let's say, over the course of the next 3 to 4 to 5 years.
Yes, and then Frank, I don't think whatever we discuss here would be, necessarily speaking, fully replicable next year, due to the advances in technology in the form of AI.
Yeah, to name one.
Yes, I will elaborate more on that later, but that thing is actually starting to become not a problem, because I think it's going to open plenty of opportunities and create new ways for music to be discovered. But at the same time, it's going to make the whole thing, which is already a hyper-competitive environment, even worse. So let's begin. First, what would be the way that you would describe the traditional method of making making money out of music, or making a career in music some form of profitable endeavor?
Look, I think the romanticized method and the one that we when we are all young and wanting to rock is the one that we have in mind, is hitting the stage, is being in front of a live audience, selling tickets and rocking out.
Yes. How infantile that is, right?
Yeah.
Because let's begin with this. Okay. I'm gonna try to approach to the whole thing with music as a businessman, okay? So when you are coming up with a product that you want to sell, you first will develop the idea, the inception of the idea, what could be potentially developed into the final product. So that idea has to go through different stages of testing for it then to be sent to something that is known as the R&D, research and development. During that period is where you're going to start to do some form of iterations of the product. You're going to try to find the problems with it, the potential upgrades that you could even implement to the product or sell as an add-on later. And then you will hit the production stage, which is where you're going to try to make the cost for each of the the cost involved for the production of each of the different pieces that will be your product as low as possible, thus increasing profit, right? And then the final stage, which is the most important one, marketing, which is where most of your money will be devoted to.
Yeah.
Why? Because without people knowing that you got the product that will serve the purposes or will finally put an end to one of the problems, without them knowing that it exists and is being provided by you, they will never buy it from you.
Simple as that.
Totally makes sense, right? Okay.
Yeah.
How does that translate into music? The R&D is when you meet the band, you develop the songs. The production cycle is when you are recording them, coming up with the shows, developing the aesthetics of the band, even creating your social medias now, creating a persona for you to be seen online and on the stage. And then the marketing and every single band that I have ever met in my life, it always stops at the second step. Why do you think that happens? In my case, in my opinion, I think it's either ignorance, not stupidity, ignorance, because that's a very different thing. You can be ignorant of something, thus not being stupid at the same time. Yeah. And lack of resources, because most of the money is spent either in the R&D or the production.
But even the lack of resources factor is also a byproduct of ignorance and to some degree, because maybe it was a poor management of the resources because that step wasn't taken into consideration.
I would accept that as a proper answer if the cost involved in marketing something like music, considering the return of investment due to the lack of profitability that comes from each of the individual pieces of music being sold. You see what I'm going with this, right? You need a stupid amounts of money for a song to be promoted for long enough to reach enough audience for it to be successful. Because music being basically free now. Let's go back a little bit further back. Let's say the 2010s, before Spotify happens. You still could buy and you could still make money out of selling the MP3 file or the WAV or the FLAC if you are a bad boy. So what happens is that even those you have to sell. Let's say you are making 99 cents per file being sold, but 30% of that it's going straight to iTunes. How many pieces do you have to sell in order to make $100? A good ton. My screen died, but it's still going.
No issues.
No issues. Yeah, it's back. So you get me. You gotta do the math, but it's a lot. How many dollars do you have to spend for each of those transactions to happen? You gotta spend more money. You're gonna end up spending more money on publicity than the money that will be coming back from the sales of the songs due to the lack of the cheapness or the affordability that it's as part of the whole process. It's not good business.
No, not at all.
And that's where most bands stopped, because the issue is that music, from a money-making perspective, it's basically, I'm gonna put it, it's a mass-rich product. It's unlike selling watches. If you're selling high-end watches, maybe you can by selling one, if you're a small maker, you can make up for the investment
in R&D, for instance.
On the R&D. And from the third watch onwards, it's actually mostly revenue. It's with profit. But in here, oof.
The numbers they are staggering in that regard.
And that's if we're still selling copies of the songs. Nobody does that. Well, some people are starting to realize that they own nothing and they are not happy. So
but mostly nowadays the shtick is with streaming.
Streaming, there is no money on streaming. It's almost a joke. It's so bad that I think I have a book that I'm reading right now. I will make a proper essay after I read a good chunk of it, because I am even leaving marks and stuff on it. I don't remember the name right now. I'm gonna post it on the comment section. But it's basically describing how Spotify turned itself into basically what it is today, and it's not a good thing. There is even claims, allegedly, of course, of Spotify even doctoring and having control over the playlist by creating fake artists producing songs that are part of the playlist and setting, because playlists are not based on moods. And just as a quick reminder for those of you who don't know, Spotify, if I recall correctly, if you think that Spotify was the solution for any single one of us being independent, you couldn't be more wrong. Because I think ownership, when it comes to the shares, 30% of the shares that are part of Spotify are owned by the major big labels.
Yeah.
And I think it's even more than 30. So you truly believe that you have chance?
So they have an even bigger grasp on the
what they
markets.
ever wanted. They have now total control over the distribution of music. No wonder why when you look at any of the freaking playlists, it's always the same old acts as ever. You will never see any of the up and coming. And the thing is that, let's say that you see the potential up and coming. Are they truly independent? Just gonna leave that there. That now coming back to the how to make money. First and foremost, we have to understand the circumstances that we're living through. How would you describe them?
I would say it's kind of dire. No, look, without trying to take us into a very negative.
Because the whole point of this conversation is to have to propose a solution. This is us trying to be positive. Robbie, good to have you here.
Hey, Robbie, good to have you, man. So I think the situation now is dire, not necessarily because it is impossible to make it, but I think the paradigm has shifted in a way that most people are still catching up. And we don't have good role models or proper... We don't have a book to follow on how to make money with music nowadays, because the format of the industry has changed.
Yes.
And especially if we're talking about doing it independently, because some of the paths that were laid down in the past, something like let's say being signed by a label, is something that the format kind of changed a little bit, but it still exists. That can still happen. It changed a little bit the presentation, but it's still there. But if you want to do it independently, I think it changed very dramatically, and that's probably the one that we should stick to the most today, because I think we're talking mostly to people trying to make their independent musical careers take off from the ground.
100%, man. And sorry for being distracted, but I actually was paying attention to you. Yes, actually, most of what we're going to be saying is going to be towards people like us, independent. And hey, Jeremiah, how is it going?
Hey, good to have you here.
You can make money nowadays once you check your butt. Well, might not be the case anymore. We'll dive into that a little bit later, but you'll see what we mean by that.
Well, we're starting to already preempt the advertisement of our OnlyFans account.
Yes, it's already getting there. Look, Rob is saying that he read an article a few weeks ago that the streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube are forecasted to hit $36 billion. I think is that revenue, Robbie? Could you elaborate more, or is it valued at $36 billion? Because the whole thing with the streaming, it's a very interesting kind of worms. I've been following quite closely the situation with movies in that regard, because you'll see back in the day, movies such as Constantine, for example, which was a flop on the cinemas, became an actual success thanks to the sales of the DVDs that happened after the release, because the movie became a cult classic somehow. It's not that good.
It's a fun flick.
It's a fun flick. I like it, but it's whatever. Do you know how Constantine actually looks like?
No.
He looks like Sting.
Ah, for real?
He does look. He's actually modeled after Sting.
But I do think that Keanu did a good job. I don't know in representing.
Man, Keanu always does
faithfully.
Keanu is great at being there and presenting himself as the avatar of the audience. Okay.
Yeah,
so
without going to the tangents, but it's a fun movie.
Okay. Or revenue. Okay. Yeah, it's making a lot of money, but all of the money is going to the same hands. And look, I'm gonna continue with this because it's actually very interesting. It's very pertaining to what the streaming service, the streaming situation is with music.
Yeah.
Movies that are good movies that are not successful at the box office have lost already the chance of make the investment and back and even make profit, because nobody is buying the physical media anymore.
True.
And everybody is joining to different now everybody's forced to join different streaming services in order to catch whatever they like to watch. Not unlike back in the day when Netflix was the only kid around. If you wanted to watch something, okay, Netflix. But still you had the chance to buy the physical media. It was still a good proposition. But nowadays, man, if you want to watch, I don't know, Marvel, you go to Disney. But if you want to watch, I don't know, The Office, I think is Peacock or one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. The thing there is so many. And the problem, what I'm trying to expose to you with this is that movies are dying. The lack of creativity in the movie industry is super clear and palpable.
Yeah.
Because nobody's daring to create new products due to this. Why would I dare to run the risk of failing? Look, we're having this discussion at lunch. Did you know that Ballerina is out? What the hell is Ballerina? It's John Wick, but female version. So what's the point, right? You're like, that's exactly the reason why I don't care, and I didn't know. So, yeah. So here, Robbie's saying, it's largely driven by subscription. The musicians gets a measly 3 to 5 cents, and dude, well, if you are mentioning or if you refer to the 3 or 5 cents out of the huge $35 billion, yeah, I agree, because you are lucky if you make some form of money out of the streaming, because it's not even luck. What you actually have to do is, I don't remember exactly the numbers, but you have to get like 10,000 spins in order for you to make like $3 or $5, something like that. 10,000 spins for a track. How much money is needed to be invested on Spotify ads, because you actually pay to win as well, or on Instagram to develop the following, so you can actually have those 10,000 spins.
Yeah, because I also wanted to tackle the side that is not only about the revenue, where the whole thing is very skewed.
Yeah.
The promotion aspect of it is also very, very skewed, and it's probably as big of a problem as the revenue. The whole thing with curated playlists.
Yes.
Of course, you as a nobody from a Spotify perspective, an independent act, regardless of how good is the music that you're making, you're not going to be promoted.
No.
You simply won't. So, regardless of how much money you make out of listens, if you can't be listened to by anybody, what's the point? Even if it was more money, if you get no listens, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly, man. And that's very, very concerning. And now, trying to be positive, understanding that principle, what could be done about that?
Mm-hmm.
Because let me tackle Hermetics about checking your butt. Have you seen BO3? The Google created AI video generating software. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yesterday I showed him a hot girl talking to a mic, having issues on the stage. And she was hot.
Yeah.
That's what I would say if it wasn't the case that it was fake.
Yeah.
The entire thing, it was a short. And she looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
Natural. Realistic.
Very
well
convincing.
proportioned. Very convincing.
Let's leave it at that.
Yes. You're like, wow. Great anatomy. So,
Actually, no. Because, well, there's no...
there's nothing to behold.
Yeah.
There's nothing to grab. But whatever. The issue is that the fake girl was so freaking convincing.
Yeah.
Not only in the way the image looked,
Mm-hmm.
the sound. Because I had to watch that short several times before I realized, because I was trying to, who the hell is this chick?
Mm-hmm.
Totally not because, okay, I want to see more. No, I was like, who the hell is this chick? Because I thought, okay, this could be the next, I don't know, Britney Spears or Sabrina Carpenter, wherever, right?
Yeah.
Keeping myself in the loop. I clicked on the account and I realized that she was fake because there were more videos like that on the account. Probably the account is also run by a freaking robot, man.
Very likely.
Like, damn. Then I show it to him. What was the reaction?
Okay, who's that chick?
Yeah, she's hot. First thing, yeah,
Yeah.
ooh, yeah, your monkey like, ooh, okay, yeah. I like what I see. But the problem is then, no man, it's fake.
Yeah.
Damn.
We're there already.
Yeah. And the audio, because it was usually the first thing that you could tell.
Yeah.
That told you that it was fake. Because usually it has that glitchy,
Yeah.
low resolution aspect to it. Not visible.
Yeah.
Even the video make you think that the sound of her voice, of the voice,
Mm-hmm.
was captured inside of a room. It had reverb, man.
Yeah.
The
Very,
audience,
very natural sounding,
yeah,
yeah.
the sound of the fake audience was proportional
Mm-hmm.
to the sound of the fake voice coming out of the microphone. I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna share it with you guys because it's insane.
Yeah.
And yes, Maya, as Metallica said, sad but true. But fair. No, it's sad but true. I agree.
It is.
Because also another thing that is very, very is not necessarily attached to music, but it's attached to content creation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I can say it on
real?
YouTube. Yes, I think it's kind of one of those.
Taboo.
It's taboo. Yeah, so you know the one that website that is only for fans. I spent it. Okay. I hope
Allegedly.
I hope I did. Okay. They are now enacting policies in an attempt to ban accounts posting stuff created through AI methods.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they are already having to do some form of preemptive strikes on it already kind of shows you that they know how far this thing is already into the whole thing.
So which take us to shaking our assets.
Yes, not even that is going to be enough, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about this. Right now, those AI-generated videos are capable only of producing 8 seconds clips. You wouldn't say, but it's nothing, right? That's right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go back in time 3 years ago when the Will Smith eating spaghetti video became popular, which is a monstrosity of a video.
Yeah, but the jump in quality from
3 years is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And right now, if you look for the newest version of that experiment, Will Smith eating spaghetti, do it. Very difficult for you to tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So how is the robot takeover has to deal with making money in the new music industry? We don't know yet. That's the point. But we gotta be prepared, because even looks could be faked. And right now, the AI generated music, we already had that experiment a few weeks ago. We're going to do it again because it's actually interesting to see how much it has developed.
Yeah.
The AI music sounds like ass. It's very bad. And I think it's impossible for music to be replaced by AI due to the human intrinsicies that are part of the music creation.
But there's music and there's music.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to take us to. Because my concern is this, and I would like to hear yours and also yours, guys watching. Right now, AI music sounds like S. Bad. Modern music also could be described using the same wording, right?
Yes.
What if, let's do a little bit of a war game. What if popular music becomes that bad that it's impossible for normies to tell the difference between AI generated and human made?
And what if we're there already?
What if it happened 2 years ago? Just saying.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, because even when we did the experiment of listening to AI made music a few weeks ago here live, we did it, and I was surprised. Of course, some of the stuff that we heard sounded very, very bad, and it was clearly something made by computer.
Yeah.
But there was one in particular that was kind of EDM-y that I remember.
Oh yeah.
That I thought, okay, I could listen to this. I could hear this in the radio.
Or in a club.
Yeah. But that wasn't saying that much about the AI music. It was saying more about the kind of stuff that you can hear in the radio.
Yeah.
And that's the concerning bit, because I think we already kind of blurred that line.
I agree. And it's scary, man.
Yeah.
Because I'm not concerned for the well-being of music, sorry. But I'm concerned with the survival of humanity.
Minor issue.
Just minor, right? Because think about it. If our appreciation for music devolves or turns into accepting this that passes for music, which is basically slop, as music, what will happen to the concept of music? The very definition of music will change with time, turning everything that is of good quality probably a relic of the past. Just think about that, because and if you say, oh, you're going in the hyperbole, wait a second. Do you wear medieval outfits? No.
I don't.
Do you mind that those guys ever thought that clothing will change this much? Probably never.
Yeah.
Why would you change?
Yeah.
Definitions can change, man.
Yeah.
Even certain words that we're not allowed to say here because we can get in trouble used to have a different meaning before, like Nigeria. So,
look, without letting ourselves derail way too much.
Yes, like ninjas.
How does all of this connect to being able to make revenue as a musician?
Good. Understanding the problem. Right now, we are facing all of these potential problems.
Yeah.
So, first, my recommendation has always been this, because I'm a businessman at heart. Always look at your music career as a business. You are actually pushing this, or you should approach to this the same way as you would if you, I don't know, you created your own tacos restaurant, right? You're selling Mexican food. And maybe it's kind of in vogue right now. Yeah, let's change it for Japanese, okay?
Which is less
controversial at the moment.
At this point in
time. Yeah, looking at you, California. So yeah, let's say that you started your own sushi joint. Okay. So what will you do first? Get the proper tools for the job, right? Then learn the craft. And the craft doesn't stop at being a good chef. You know, you need to learn how to administer money.
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to manage people.
Yeah.
How to keep up with the rent, the expenses, the ins and outs, all of the stuff that makes a business.
Provide a good service.
And also, you have to set in your head the objective, which is profit. Because through profit comes survival, and through survival comes revenue, and through revenue comes wealth. Okay?
Quick tangent. because this exposition that you just made is something that doesn't sit well with a lot of musicians in particular.
Why?
The whole thing about productizing their craft too much, because there is an argument to be made that a lot of what's bad in music nowadays is because music is being handled like a product too much. So how do we find a proper balance?
Is it a current thing?
It's more visible now.
I agree on that.
I don't think it has always been the case, because it has always been a product, and whoever managed to sell more did best. That's how it goes.
Yes.
But I think now it's more blatant, and it comes with its downside, with its big downsides. The fact that it's more blatant, because think of groups of writers to write music or stuff like that. Is the ultimate presentation of productizing music, because you have music being made by marketers, not musicians.
Exactly.
But of course, we're talking about the extreme. Do you think for the average musician, the guy who likes music, who actually wants to do something artistic, something of value, he should also tackle music making as a product?
Yeah, and you should learn to look at it like that since the beginning, because that way you don't have to break your own heart when you have to change your tenure, because it will eventually slap in your face. You have been with me when we go and meet some of the plastic artists guys that I know, right? And what's been the usual commentary that they make? I don't know how to sell my stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand why this guy who is just slapping a piece of a banana to the wall with tape, is selling it for $1 million, and my piece of art, actual art that involves everything that makes art artistic, I hardly sell it for $1,000. Not including the insane amount of hours involved, not only the production of a piece, but also the development of the craft, the expertise of the artist. The problem is that the guy doesn't know that, or these guys, my friend, never stopped to learn that there is the concept of scarcity, the value that is added to a product, not based on the qualitative features of the product, but the perceived value of the audience when it comes to the value of the product. Don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
Because
but how do you draw the line then?
You have to make yourself interesting. For example, a scarcity. And I know that it sounds, it's easy to say, of course, man, we're in the path to do it. We're learning how to do it because it's so tough. I'm not coming to you like, dude, I know exactly what I'm saying because...
Here are all the answers.
Yeah, no, of course not.
Yeah.
But the concept, in theory, the theory is quite clear. You have to develop a value, a brand, first before you become a product.
Yeah.
For example, think in terms of, what's the name of these guys? Bon Jovi. Their music is good, but it's not fantastic. But the brand Bon Jovi is bigger than the songs.
True.
Why?
By a lot, actually.
Because the brand is fantastic, man. You think of them like, of course.
Yeah.
This is badass. You think, flying on the stage and stuff. What? That's branding, man.
Yeah.
That's branding.
Do we need to bring kids into the conversation yet again?
Yeah. And look, Robbie here is saying, as you know, guys, I hate, with capital hate, I really like that, the word diversity. Well done, I like you more. But I believe that diversification is the key to to be able to make money in music today, 100%. And look, we're starting to get there, because using my sushi joint as an example, you as the owner of the business will have to understand that your product is sushi, right? In this case, music. But you as the owner will have to learn how to wear different hats that play different roles throughout the whole execution of the operation, because not every time you will be in the kitchen preparing making the sushi. You will be dealing with accountants, or with the police, or with the government, or with the authority. Well, you know what I mean. So the other authorities.
If it was a taco joint, it would deal with the police more often.
Not only the police. Also. We'll stop there. But you need to accept that as part of your job. The plastic artist example that I gave you is the same situation. He learned too late that he has to do also the part of the marketer, the PR. He has to be there in the fancy dinners.
Yeah.
He has to learn to walk the walk and talk the walk. You know what I mean?
Walk the talk.
Walk the talk and talk the walk. Yeah, it's all of the stuff that is expected from someone who is in that area.
Yeah.
In music, nowadays, no longer is the case that you need to be playing in front of audiences in dingy clubs. It's part of it, yes, but I don't know how important it is. It's there. It's never gonna be replaced. But the question is, you have access to platforms such as this one, that allows you to reach millions, allegedly, of people who allegedly are not bots, because allegedly the internet is not dead, right? Right.
I think those were enough allegedly for the one sentence.
Why would you spend the resources that are required for you to pull off a good show, a show that at least you won't feel embarrassed afterwards?
Yeah.
Because every single one of us have been there. You know that you finish off the show, people are applauding, but you know, like, they're doing it out of
don't know if it's pity
or because and they might tell it was good, and you know in your heart that guy was blasted. He couldn't hear anything, so his poor ears, he's going through trauma right now. He's trying to cope with the horrible experience. He's like a veteran. Yeah, it never happened. Yeah, something like that. And because when you go through those, you realize that I need money. Because I need to invest on higher quality instruments or higher quality speaker sets or blah blah blah. I need to hire a mixing engineer. And then, but that means I don't have enough money. It has to come out of my pocket, or we need to increase the entry fee, which is already a miracle that people are willing to pay for you without having a brand, right? So how will you do it? Create a brand here?
Yeah.
I would rather spend my money on social media after I went through the R&D and the production cycle, because this could be a sound strategy. As Rob is saying here, you got to diversify your efforts 100%, and even your skills have to be developed in a way that allow you to play different roles. So this is what I would do. First, I will write some songs. Then I get the ones that are the least terrible, the least sucking. Then I would put my money on making the songs sound the best I can afford. Then, before I begin announcing that I was at the studio, no, wait a second. And this is actually coming from my failures, okay? You start to create momentum way earlier than you should. Because once you reach the station which, I need a music video. Oh, I didn't thought about that. How can I make a music video if the song is not ready? So I need the song first, right? Or at least a draft that is close to the end, to the final version. So, damn, people are already waiting for it. You're gonna lose the thunder. That's what I'm trying to say. It's gonna go dull.
Yeah.
It's gonna get cold. So, get to the studio. No, don't tell anybody. Not even your girlfriend. She might think you're doing something else.
So,
like playing golf.
probably about yourself.
Yeah. Nah, she's the way. So no, of course you do what you have to do, but you hit the studio first, make the record, get it as good as you possibly can, then sit down, come up with a plan, a release plan, like a date, following a series of days, and even having an actual schedule for stuff to happen. Try to see if you can get in touch with whoever personality you can get in touch with. And personality, I mean someone with 1,000 followers on Instagram is already is bigger than your 10. So it's by orders of magnitude. So yeah, try that. Try to get your song featured in one of those curator playlists, not the ones controlled by the powers that be, the independent ones, the tiny ones, because you would have a chance there. You actually have a higher chance of being heard. Or even being accepted in one of those tinier playlists than hitting one of the big ones.
Yeah.
I would recommend a website called Submit Hub. Submit Hub, you pay a fee to make sure that somebody of the curators that are part of the program, who are not hired by Submit Hub, they are actually there joining the service, and they have to be vetted before they can be there as part of the ones who are curating stuff. You can make sure that you're not wasting your money or your time, because you can actually get to the ones that would be likely to listen to your music and put it in their playlist.
Yeah.
So go there, spend a few bucks there, and even you can get some feedback, positive or negative, whatever. You're gonna get feedback.
Yeah.
But if you hit gold, because it's not that if you get rejected, it's not the song doesn't work. No, the guy didn't work with the song. It's more likely than not. So keep pushing. And then, in the meantime, shoot a freaking music video. Go to AI and get a music video that is graphics and stuff. Get yourself a very non-expensive green screen, and learn how to use the chroma keys very easy. Even your phone is capable of doing it by its own.
Yeah.
And superposition.
Yeah.
Okay. Yourself on top of the AI generated, and there you go. Full on rush, and time stands still.
And it's a hit.
What a freaking ugly video, man! That
it's
is
a great song.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song. But there is no excuses even in that regard.
Yeah.
And now it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You can get momentum, and then organize a few local shows, and that could be probably the schedule for the next 6 months. And you will repeat the same strategy for each release you announce. Makes sense.
Makes sense.
That's better. Will you make money out of it? No. And that's the real situation, because what you're gonna get out of it is gonna be, and I had to say it, but just promotion.
So how do you make money then?
That's a question. Learn to diversify. If you're good at playing guitar, give guitar lessons. If you are good at mixing, mix on the sides. The idea is for you to make what you do, or take advantage of the craft that you developed, for it to be able to provide the resources for you to keep up with the career that you're aspiring to get into. In my case, I took advantage of well, first and foremost, I wanted to be able to produce my music by my own. I don't want anybody to intervene in the creation process. And the more I learned about the industry, the more I realized that it would never be possible for me to have total control over my craft. But then the internet happened, and that allowed me to see, wait a second, there's a way. There's a way. But it's the way of going full on independent. And I have been fully independent since the beginning. So I've been playing this at a loss in many areas of the whole experience. That's why it's been successful at times, and it's been terrible failures at times as well. But I managed to keep up with my vision, because I realized that I needed to, if I wanted to be the one in control over the whole music production cycle, I need to learn music production and mixing.
Yeah. I
then spent time learning the craft, and I realized, wait a second, if I want to keep getting better at this, I need to keep doing it for as long as I can, right? If I spend time working at a regular job, I won't be able to spend time needed to become good at this. What if I turn this into my job? It took longer than expected.
It did, but
But it's that.
Yeah.
Get me?
Yeah.
And along the way, by running the studio gig, I learned the craft of money making, how to administer yourself, how to run a business. And that's where I started to develop this more business-oriented mentality when it comes to music. So let me check this comment.
Yep.
Robbie here saying, failure is a good thing, Adam. I failed hundreds of times in sales and marketing. The more no's you get means that you're closer to yes. 100%, man. You are in the money. It's a numbers game, like the music business, 100%. And just here saying, I foresee the future of the musicians' role has changed. We will have AI make music in the style of the trend, and AI creates the band and go on a viral AI tour, then sell it all out. Damn it.
That's grimmer than anything that we said here.
Yeah, and I'm the one who has no, just but you're into something, man. Because I that's one of the things that I see happening. Because when I saw the whole thing with the website for fans and how they are needing to find ways to stop people from creating AI-based e-girls, that begs the question, or if I put it differently, those girls are out. They have no way to compete with a la carte
Yeah, actually.
content of that nature.
Yeah.
And somebody then commented on Twitter, dude, not related to the fans, but to the movie industry. We might be a few years away from being able to create your own movie for yourself based on what you want to watch.
Yeah. Just prompt it correctly.
Yeah, if you learn how to prompt, how to put the stuff into the AI, it will come up with exactly what you want.
Yeah.
It's insane. And I don't see the whole band thing not happening. Because I could potentially see an AI generated, it might be the happy merchant, right? Thinking in terms of music and trying to apply because happy is making money. So,
Yeah.
so doing the whole thing and in mind that they realize, wait a second, we can finally get rid of the biggest problem with this whole music business aspect, which is the musicians.
Yeah.
Get me a computer. The computer did the song. Perfect. Now, another computer. Create the babes. Babes created. Then another computer. Coordinate the shows. Done. And it's only one laptop.
Yeah.
No more. Anything.
Yeah.
And the best part, never gets saggy. No lag, of course. No, for real. It will never go old.
Yeah.
It's a product that will be forever viable and marketable.
Look, I will try to tackle it from a not so grim perspective. I think there's something good to be had out of this. The people that don't care enough about music, they just listen to whatever is thrown, they're gonna keep the same.
Yes.
That's not gonna change. But now what's gonna be thrown at them is gonna be AI, because it's cheaper, it's more efficient, it's better. From the happy merchant perspective.
Yeah.
So, but on the other side of the aisle, I think just the divide is gonna be made wider.
Yes.
Because the whole thing with the parallel economy, once again, I think there's gonna be a whole freak ton of people that won't stand up for AI generated music. They won't simply go for it. And those are the people that are gonna value even further the human element of music.
I agree.
And seeing how this divide is gonna become to such a way that a very substantial parallel economy is gonna develop, I think it's actually gonna be a very good time for the independent musician to find a footing if he plays his cards correctly.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to spend that much time on setting the foreseeable future situations, because I totally see the development of a parallel economy, because it's already happening in many areas. Just think in terms of news. Who is watching CNN? If you take a look at the numbers of other streamers, I don't know, like freaking Tim Pool, damn it, he's already kicking them in the gonads.
Yeah.
Because
All three of them.
All three of them, yeah. Because they have plenty. Because they have plenty of. They have way bigger numbers. Running a way smaller operation.
Yeah.
You can make the claim that the guy is already low. Yeah, of course, because he already has a media empire if you wish. But they don't need the media anymore.
Yeah.
And the people who watches more mainstream stuff, little by little, are discovering the independent routes.
Yeah.
And those are attracting more and more people. That's why you see the insane pushes for censorship in the different platforms.
Yeah.
Before going live, we're about to see new terms and conditions that are being dropped onto YouTube again, because it seems that they are now. If any of you watching has access to YouTube Premium, let us know, because it seems that they are about to put ads on Premium. You pay for Premium in order to get rid of the ads because you don't know how to use an ad block. Yeah, so because I don't even think it's also a good idea, because it also seems that they're trying to do stuff, shenanigans with particular software that stops you from being bothered by ads.
Yeah. Yeah, they have been fighting that for years now.
Yeah, but now they are trying to push it even harder. That begs the question, what's going on? The business model they run is not working, man. Mm-hmm. Because that book that I'm reading regarding Spotify also makes the case for Spotify haven't been ever profitable. Not even today. No, of course not, because playing at a loss, man. Just think in terms of how much it is for them to keep the server running. The marketing campaigns are running. Paying the royalties that they owe. Yeah. And still make a profit. Mm-hmm. And if you pay close attention to how much of it's being subsidized by different ventures, it's just like, because I don't know how much you are aware of the fact that Facebook was subsidized by a certain government, America, for real, for a good while. And the whole thing with ads being the source of income for those platforms is gone, man. Mm-hmm. Because how many people are willing to spend time watching ads? Nobody. Yeah. Nobody. And now with the whole thing with AI, doing the summaries of websites without you having to click on the website, those websites are also going to collapse because they rely on those ads being prompted to people that will eventually click on them if they are lucky.
Yeah, but they're not really assessing the page anymore.
No, why would you invest in them? Put yourself in the position of a marketer. Would you invest on the platform that everybody of your potential market knows how to avoid watching your ads? Mm-hmm. No. F off. So what's gonna happen? Yeah. And I think this is what's coming. Sites such as Rumble, which we're live streaming right now as well, simultaneously, and we've been doing for the last 6 months. Yeah. We promised to take it seriously now. Before going live, we had this discussion as well because you deserve our respect as well. It's not that you never had it, but we're learning, okay? We're learning. In there, the service is different. The content creators are expected to put a little bit of money into the machine, but the machine actually pays back. Mm-hmm. It's basically a different way to develop this kind of interaction between content producer and service provider. Mm-hmm. And both kind of seem to be is beneficial.
It's more upfront as well.
It's more upfront because think of a marketer as well. If you go to everybody thinks that they can go viral on Instagram or YouTube. There is always the chance for you to become the next sensation, right? That's fake. Instagram in particular is a hugely skewed pay-to-win platform. Mm-hmm. Only those who put money into the machine are the ones being seen. And now YouTube is also doing the same. I don't know how much it impacts, but we can tell you right now that our reach has been hampered to ridiculous growth, basically none. In the 3 channels that we're running right now, how makes fun of me. So, the 3 channels that we're running, and I think it's because of them rolling out these new approaches. Mm-hmm. So, even YouTube could be considered a revenue stream. The thing is that, once again, as a musician, you need to be willing to spend the time and the upfront cost that comes with producing content for a good chunk of time for basically free. Yeah. But here's the benefit. Let's say that you go the route of teaching stuff or pertaining to your craft. That's always evergreen. Mm-hmm. If you teach people how to play the major scale on guitar, there is always value to that because the major scale never changes. For now. No, it never changes because that's mathematically impossible. But, or mixing, or singing, all of that stuff holds plenty of value, and there is always people willing to watch that content because there's always people wanting to stop being sucky. So that's a way to monetize yourself. Offering lessons online. There are many things you can do, and believe me, it's cheaper than ever and easier than ever to create video content. I'm not saying that if you consider yourself shy or you don't have the time to spend or devote yourself to a platform such as this one, you don't have to do it. But how about if you shoot a badass course on how to string your guitar? I don't know, the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And you develop the whole thing and sell it online. Put a little bit of money on the machine to promote it, and bam, it could be the best possible business you ever had. And the best part, no cost involved in warehouses, no shipping. Yeah. It's basically just running the Shopify. Even Shopify is there, which is already doing the whole heavy lifting regarding managing sales and shipping and stuff of products, including digital. You don't have to spend that much. I know a guy that actually he's making tons of money out of online sales, and he's just selling kitchen articles. It's quite close from here. Yeah, but he has no warehouse. He's just the middleman.
Oh, okay.
Look at that.
Just dealing with the logistics.
Yeah, because the warehouse is, I don't even know where it is, but it's not in the same city, man. So he only has a good chunk of people working there, organizing and distributing and making sure that the entire operation is running. But it's super well oiled, man. Efficient as all balls. And he's thinking like this. He's jumping, basically speaking, bypassing Amazon. And you could do the same. Imagine that, but with no shipping involvement, out of your own creativity. That's the future, man. Yeah. I think an artist, any form, musicians included, of course, can have a good fighting chance if they learn how to produce content that could be sold online. What do you think?
I think that's the modern way, because I think the hard part is having an audience. Once you have the people that are willing to buy, in many cases, whatever you sell, they are gonna buy.
Yes.
Because you already developed that rapport, you already developed that goodwill. So I think most of the effort should really be focused on the development of that brand, on the development of that relationship with people. Because honestly, once that legwork is done, you can monetize mostly anything.
Everything, including your fake butt.
Yes. Shaking it, girl.
Shaking it. Yeah. You could read that. Just in mind, man. I'm gonna stop there for a second. Yeah, but just in mind starting a Playboy like empire, just using
AI.
Fake. Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna have to imagine. I think we're gonna be seeing it very soon.
If it's not already in the making.
Yeah. Oh wow.
God damn. So next one.
Look, just as a closing comment.
Yes.
Even though for a good chunk of the conversation we focused on some of the green darkness of the current era.
Yes.
This is not meant for it to be daunting or for it to be disheartening. It's just to understand the game that's being played. Yeah. Because also there's no point on trying to deceive yourself.
No.
If you don't understand where you're standing, there's nothing you can do about it. You fall victim to the circumstances. So the idea here is understanding where we're stepping so we can avoid the traps.
Yeah.
So even though the conversation was mostly kind of grim, the idea here is understanding the problem so we can avoid it.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation. It's something that we are together trying to come up with the solutions to the problems that we're kind of exposing here.
Yeah, because this affects everybody, right?
Yeah.
Even music lovers, the fans.
Yeah.
Those probably are the ones who will get No, they won't. Let me explain. Because they simply won't get the next Metallica, but they will always have Metallica to listen to.
Yeah.
Is the musicians that are ones that are gonna go go for. Let me see here. Mike here saying that he's scared of the concept of AI videos. Scares me. They are so realistic. 100%, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just making the joke of the Playboy equivalent with AI. But the thing is that it's way too convincing now.
Yeah, it is.
And this is baby steps still, man. We haven't reached actually its final form. And films will be made by AI. Agree? Films will be made. Yeah, 100%, man. And I truly encourage you to just take a look at BO. It's BO3? VEO3. You are going to be shitless. I'm gonna put it that way.
Yeah.
It's that good, man. It's scary good, and but also think of the positive outcomes as well. You said it. People will be able to make films out of thin air with cinematic qualities. Imagine meeting being a guy who is a writer, right? Somebody who is very, very talented in that regard, with a huge imagination. If the guy learned how to put stuff into the machine in a way that it's correct, he could be able to create the next big badass movie. I, for one, will try. We'll give it a try to make a short out of my ideas.
Yeah.
Here we have a comment from Jeffrey Caprat. I just came on, so I don't know if this is relevant to what you're saying. Go ahead, man. Talking about, but another way musicians can make money, in some cases, really, really good money, is by doing acoustic shows on starting. Or yeah, good idea, because an acoustic show is cheaper to produce, and especially if you hit even by busking. Depending where you are, of course, because there are some places on which busking is not necessarily profitable or socially accessible. But you're saying, or starting a cover band that caters to corporate, look at that, corporate events and weddings. I know it might not sound like a lot of fun, but there is money. Man, you are 100% correct. Some of the wealthiest musicians that I have ever met in different parts of the world, wedding bands.
Yeah.
They make the big bucks, man, because it's not as romanticized as being, even Adam Sandler has a movie, The Wedding Singer, about that whole thing not being romanticized and being kind of lame to a certain degree, but it is not lame, man. It's do what you must, legally of course, to keep your objective well and alive.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing with the different avenues that you have at your disposal, now with the whole AI thing, there are some that cannot be replicated. Because even teaching, learning from someone, it's always going to be better than learning from a computer. True. Because we have been having access to digital in education for 15 years now.
And it never replaced the real deal.
It never replaced the real deal.
Yeah.
Let me hear
on the regard of the whole thing with cover bands and wedding bands and stuff like that, it also can be seen like a means to an end, because the priority for anybody that wants to have a career on anything is making it sustainable first. So maybe it might not be your end game to be like a wedding musician, let's say, but it might be what allows you to keep yourself going in the path of music.
Yeah.
And let's say the end game is making your own music and bringing it out into the world. Maybe that's the way to keep yourself afloat while you work on that on the side. And there's no problem to make your main venture the one on the side for as long as it is needed.
Yep.
The thing is, you need to keep yourself going.
Yeah, because if you want to survive, first you make yourself sure that you can survive.
Yeah.
What will come down your way, because it's always you don't know, and finding that source of income that is not going to be never stable. Because being very frank, even doing the wedding band thing, although very, very profitable, you will have not the best of seasons from time to time, because people are not hiring. And look, here am I coming back a little bit to the whole thing with AI. He's saying that, I'm sorry, but AI is so great and funny and so on, but sorry, this is not art. Art is made by human, not machines. 100%. You're correct, man. Yeah, and I'm not saying that AI will be here to replace anybody. No, I actually kind of find concerning that society dumbs itself down so much that they can't tell the difference between what is, or they are unable to appreciate the beauty of human-made stuff.
Yeah.
And they consider the slop coming out of computers as artistic.
Yeah.
That's the freaking. Go ahead.
Sorry. On the matter of AI, I think that I see quite a lot of doom talk, but honestly, first and foremost, we need to accept that it's here to stay. AI is part of our lives now, either we want it or not. And I think we musicians, and that applies to many other areas as well, we shouldn't fear AI. We should embrace it, because it's a tool to be used to our own purposes if we are clever.
But this is that's a key point, man, because AI shouldn't replace the human, or shouldn't replace the musician. The musician should use the tool for what it is. It's just a tool.
Yeah.
Right now, doing this, I have access to several. I use several services, right, for the whole thing of music production and exchanging files and stuff, right. And Boombox, for example, the one that I use right now, has already an AI assistant for chord progressions. And also, Logic Pro, the newest version, has access to an assistant for lyrics.
For lyrics as well?
On Logic.
For real? Didn't know that.
It uses ChatGPT and it actually provides feedback and suggestions. I haven't tried. I don't even know if it's just lyrically speaking, just potential good rhymes or stuff like that. Because I don't know if it's gonna be able to follow rhythm. But being on in Logic, it could be possible that it could read the tempo of the song, time signature,
Working
and
with
key.
some subdivisions, like, yeah.
It could be possible.
Yeah.
I don't know, and that's where I truly draw the line. Even at the point of using AI to write lyrics, just to get suggestions, I already have plenty of moral issues with that concept, because AI will only show you stuff that, grammatical speaking, works, but meaning comes from the actual expression of an idea or an emotion through the control of over the language, right?
Yeah.
If you're sucky at writing lyrics, well, that shows me that you have never read a book in your life. Of course, man.
You're talking about a book. Wasn't there a situation popping up like one of these days about a book that came out, was actually released?
Oh,
with
yeah.
an AI prompt that was left
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I don't remember the details. I shared with you a few days ago.
Yeah.
But in the sci-fi book industry, which is a total joke as well, there was a publisher that got in trouble because they published a book on which the author, or not the author, nobody realized that there was the prompt for the AI to generate the text as part of the published book.
You went all the way to
all
publish.
the way through all of the different stages that are part of the process of publishing a book, and nobody got the memo. Nobody read it. Nobody read the goddamn thing.
Because everybody just threw it through another AI and said, revise this for me.
Yeah. And that's the so-called intellectual area, right?
Yeah.
They're reading stuff because we are intelligent, because we like to read. God damn.
We're there already.
We're there already.
Yeah.
I hope that these kind of shenanigans starts to pay some form of limitations, or at least, how can I put it? Us as the clientele, the buyers, the people who are actually enjoying the products or not, to be the ones, for us to develop this kind of standard, the minimum standard, because you can clearly read when something is written by AI.
Yeah.
Because for as much as they are super efficient, and it was the first use that AI began to become popular for, you can tell this is way too clean, or this is way too, there's something off.
Yeah.
Because even at that, the human spirit is present. You can call me a hippie or whatever, but when you're writing words hold power. Because if you think about their magical spells, you can actually convince people to do all sorts of stuff just by using your mind, which turns itself manifest through the use of sound. You're basically casting some spells on people. I think that also translates into written words, including typing an email. Because there is something natural. If you ever talk to a chatbot, as soon as it comes back to you, this is fake. Yeah, and here Robbie here saying lyrics has to come from the songwriter to me. He has to have an inner emotion, a feeling, a desire, a passion, etc. Agreed.
That's at the very core of music itself.
Yeah, exactly, man. Not everybody I can give you that is gifted with the use of words. That's a skill, but it's a skill that can be developed. Yeah. And if you are gonna get into this whole thing that is making music and crafting your own music, you gotta learn at one point how to write good lyrics. Not fantastic. Not everybody's gonna end up being Bob Dylan or Roy Waters for that matter, but at least not sucky.
Yeah.
And because even though you might be limited in your control over the language, if you have something to say that is true, it will resonate.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of great examples. I don't know, like Van Halen. Very, very basic lyrics for the most part.
Yeah.
But the songs translate correctly. Or you got now things that Prince. Now Prince has
Actually
some
has
good
good
lyrics at
lyrics,
times,
yeah.
yes. And also, how about I don't wanna Rob Stewart.
Yeah.
Rob Stewart. No, but he also has but even that one,
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah. The young sex. Yeah, that those songs actually have. The thing is that even those songs, as silly as they could be, they have that element of humanity, that fun.
There's the heart to it. There's soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's another way to make a living, and that's the stuff that no AI will be able to replace.
Yeah.
Because if you create something that, first and foremost, who's gonna buy it from you? Not a computer, right? A human being. Make something that a human being will appreciate, not a computer. So my first suggestion, because I think this is gonna happen in the future. Right now, everything in music is very trendy, and it's been like that since the inception of the music industry. It's all about trends. But we are little by little creating a much more not divided but less controlled society, in the sense of the authoritative sources that, like your CNNs or even your government, is starting. Hollywood, all of those institutions are starting to become irrelevant. People are no longer giving a damn about them. Why? Because look at what we're doing right now. We're having this good conversation, and hopefully it's providing something about it for you. But I find this kind of content way better than anything produced by any major studio. Being very frank.
Yeah.
And that applies to everything. I don't even own a TV, and I haven't owned a TV for almost 10 years now. Why? Because I prefer to watch YouTube content from YouTube that is actually controlled by what I want to do, what I want to learn, and there are plenty of great people producing great content on any area.
Yeah.
It's basically an untapped potential that is little by little becoming the norm.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying with this is that those trends are gonna dwindle down with time, because now, since people are capable of looking for what they want, there will be the formation probably in the next 5 years. It's already happening. Clusters of people creating their own ecosystems for different things.
Yeah.
Like back in the 90s when you got the gods and the jokes and the losers
and the nerds
and the nerds and all of those guys.
Yeah.
The same will apply, but a magnified level in culture.
Yeah.
Because it's already happening. You got forums, which in turn became later Facebook groups, and now YouTube channels.
Yeah.
And it's more and more becoming like cells.
Yeah.
That are part of an organism. Robbie here is saying, I think that's pretty shit of logic to do that. It is. I don't like it. It's making it too easy for talentless morons to think they're good. Bloody hell. You couldn't phrase it better, man. I 100% agree. I don't like the idea of... I actually might be in the making of a video on which I am discussing that very point. Because the uber simplification of the tools has allowed for people who shouldn't be there creating stuff that shouldn't be there and shouldn't exist. And not because they're talented. It's because the tools are so stupidly easy to use that now even those low IQ individuals are capable of getting in the way of the rest. And they're cluttering the chances, or removing the chances and cluttering the avenues for the good talented people to actually find a way in this music business. Yeah. But that's a completely different conversation to have. So finally, next one, final comments.
All right, so just to drop a comment on this in particular without trying to go on a completely new can of worms, but I think this is also about a byproduct of the lowering of the standards, because this being a problem of the democratization of the tools.
Yes.
Because I think one of the first things you showed me once we first started working together here in the studio was how easy
it is to produce a hit.
To produce a hit hip hop song, for example. Yes. Dragging loops into a project and let the computer do the work. So, if music simple like that, or as generic as that, weren't accepted by the audience, it wouldn't be a problem, the fact that it's easy to produce. Because people would have a standard that is high enough that for you to be able to cut through, you would have to operate above that standard. So in the end, it's on us as consumers, as clients, as people that actually keep the industry going from the buyer's perspective. We truly need to operate under a decent standard of quality, because that's what values quality. And then if the person that provides quality is the one that gets valued by the industry, he finds a ground in which he can actually plant seeds and thrive, and you're gonna see more quality. So we kind of create this virtual cycle in that way. So without trying to go too deeply into that, but I think it's a comment that was worth making. But look, this kind of conversations is something that we have on a weekly basis.
To make fun of you. Look at you, Adam Smith.
Look, first and foremost, thanks for being a part of this conversation. This is the whole point of this, guys. We go live and not shoot video because we're supposed to be a part of it.
Yes.
So that's why we're here. So thank you for being here with us. We do this on a weekly basis. On Tuesdays, we do it here, talking about music industry, but we also have the opportunity to talk with you at other moments of the week. Tomorrow, he's actually going to be finishing the production of a song.
By the way, Robbie, are you still here? Say yes. Because I already sent to you the track. Sorry for the tangent.
No, it's all right.
But I already sent to you the track through Boombox, and I also checked that you left comments on the live stream. What's the name? Session Wire.
Yeah.
I would love to know if you had access to do something, so I can program tomorrow's live stream. Because you should you have access to the download. If you have access to it, let me know. And if you already have worked on it, let me know as well, because that way we can find a way for me to have the files before going live tomorrow. So yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna be finishing a track live here on the different channel. Oh yes, you're here, or yes, you got it.
So, too many questions
and so little answers.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah. So yeah, and also we have another live stream on Thursdays.
Yeah. So this conversation is a little bit more serious in tone because we're tackling some of the grim darkness of the current era. But on Thursdays we try to keep a little bit more lighthearted when we're talking about music that doesn't suck.
Yes.
So we would love to have you there with us as well. Goes at the same time, which is 5 Central. And it's on a different channel.
Yeah, we're still finding the best timing for the videos.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we would love to have you there. Basically, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, lyrics have been done, and I've done 60%. Okay, but you got the file, I guess, right?
It seems like he did.
I'm gonna pretend that he did. But let's wait for him to come back to that. In the meantime, okay, Robert, if that's the case, I will come up with something different for tomorrow, because it's important for me to have the full thing, so we can actually do the final show correctly. So yeah, thank you for joining, by the way. In the meantime, I'm waiting for Robbie, totally not me buying my own time.
So I'm gonna buy the time by saying that if you want to support this venture even further, there's a way to do it. By listening to our music on Apple Music or Spotify, or also by following us on other social media such as Instagram, X, and also we can keep the conversation going on our Discord. Okay. And I do think the link is in the description already. So we got that going.
Yeah, excellent. And Robbie came back to me. Yes, I will get in touch with you through Session Wire then. He got the file. So yeah, I will come up with something different for tomorrow for the show. So that way we can have the final version of the track.
Next week.
Next week. So don't worry. That's good. Anyhow, I'm gonna get in touch with you through Session Wire. Okay. So thanks for joining. Thank you for watching. As Tiago already said, the best way to support the channel is by subscribing, but also you can listen to music on Apple Music or Spotify. And the best way to also get in touch with us is through social media such as Instagram and X, and also Discord, because we always forget. We're gonna put as part of the pinned comments of this video.
I think the description already.
Already has it. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Somebody was look at you, Steve Jobs. I couldn't come up with that. But yeah, thank you. So yeah, you can join this Discord. It's totally encouraged, because that's where we can keep the conversation going. So with that being said, the only thing left to mention is that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about, because as every time we meet, you gotta remind you that, and also that we'll see you when we see you.